Hi Joe, it's lovely to see you again. Thank you so much for coming on. I really hope you're ready for your quick fire question and answer session. So we'll fire straight in. First question. When you first moved to Aberdeen, where did you stay?
First 2 nights, they put me up in the Highland Hotel, right? So, which is apparently is lovely, or was. I don't know if it's even still going now. Was a bit. I must have had the worst room of the lot. And I remember like a few weeks down the line, or a few months down the line, it might have even been a year. I was asking one a couple of the new lads, got chatting to one of the new lads. Oh, where they put you up? Everyone was saying, oh, Malmaison, Chester, and I was like, what happened? Were they not? They obviously weren't expecting much from me when I signed. I signed as a bit part player, maybe, or a fringe player. And so I went and spoke to Stephen Gunner about it. I said, Gunner, what was that all about, mate? Chucking me in the box room in the Highland, and all these boys have got the Malmaison and the Chester. But no, yeah, that's where I stayed. And then I stayed in the Spire apartments on North D side for a little while as well until I moved into a house in towards Colts.
Okay. Who did you first click with when you joined?
Um, Jaden Stockley, I would say he was new as well, very chatty. We knew a few of the same people as well. And he was such a laugh. We'd got the same sense of humor, really, like the same sort of stuff. And yeah, I just had a really good laugh with him. I mean, because we were both new, it was sort of, I knew a few of the same people. It was great. It helped settle in. His his partner had moved up. Obviously, my partner moved up, so they got along together. So yeah, Jaden Stockley was a brilliant company.
Who did you sit beside in the dressing room?
So I was number one, Shay Logan number two.
Okay.
So I was trapped between a wall and Shay Logan. So I found myself talking to the wall quite a lot. Um, no, Shay's brilliant. Obviously, anyone who's met Shay knows he's brilliant company. He's a lovely lad. Um, his social media doesn't always do him justice. He's a good lad. No, he's top man, and still speak to Shay now. Obviously, I'm living down near towards Manchester now, and he's down here quite a lot. So meet up with him every now and then, and speak to him regularly on the phone. So no, he was a top lad as well. Really used to help the new lads settle in. So yeah, got a lot of time for Shay.
Who was the loudest in the dressing room?
Do you know what? Jaden again.
Oh,
He
really?
was like not straight away, but pretty soon he just got an absolute foghorn of a voice. Like he just, and he's not afraid to just to say what he thinks. He had a couple of moments. I think him and Doc once had a bit of an argument on the pitch, and it was hilarious. Just the way Jaden was really funny. The way he used to say things, and he was just so loud. His voice is really loud. Kenny McLean as well. He was quite loud, quite chirpy. But yeah, there was some really good characters in that room.
Who was the quietest in the dressing room?
I'll go for Peter Pawlett.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wasn't.
Interesting.
I wouldn't say he's necessarily that quiet. It's hard to remember the quiet ones, isn't it? But I suppose the ones you got to watch. No, Pete was great, really nice lad, but just yeah, really quiet and polite and a really nice lad. I wouldn't say no one was like really quiet. No one was like the silent assassin Jack McKenzie. No one quite that bad when I first got there, but um, no, he was yeah, he was just kept himself to himself and really sort of quietly spoken, but a lovely lad as well.
Who had control of the music in the dressing room?
Um, I'm pretty sure it must have been. I don't actually know. I can't answer that. Can't give a name, but it was definitely a Glaswegian because it was like that awful, like happy hardcore, like
Oh,
dance music stuff.
really?
Just so like horrible Glasgow crap. So it was without offending too many people there, but it was awful, yeah. So um I suppose you end up warming to it a little bit because they had a certain couple of songs, I don't know what they're called, that they'd stick on it when we won games. So you got like a affinity to a little bit of, I suppose, to a song when you keep hearing it once you've won. But yeah, it was awful.
Did you have any superstitions or a routine that you stuck to regularly?
No, not personally. No, I didn't have any on my own. We used to have like a Friday. training session that we do cover certain things, like with Gordon Marshall, and nothing more than what the club would put in place, really, than the coaches. Personally, I'm not one for that, really. I've always thought if I have a superstition, I've got trapped in one of them superstitions, that I would be midway through the first half and I think, oh, sugar, I didn't do that. I didn't put my right glove on first, and whatever it was. And it would play with my mind. So I've always tried to stop myself getting into any habits like that and just be a little bit more fluid. A lot of people are really regimented with what they do.
Mm.
It works for them. So it's like whatever works for you. But for me, I never had anything like that.
If there was one game that you could choose that always kind of sticks in your mind from the time at Aberdeen, what game would it be?
I always would say the game at Murrayfield against Hearts,
Yeah.
just because, I mean, from my own performance, I had, probably one of, if not the best game of my career in that. But with it being at Murrayfield, there wasn't many opportunities. You don't get many opportunities to play there. It's a massive place to play, and although the fans were so far behind the goal, I think we took 7,000
Yeah.
to that game. Like an away game, taking 7,000 there was brilliant. The noise was, you could still hear the noise, even though they were behind the goal a fair bit. And yeah, I was able to make plenty of saves, and it was finished 0-0. So it was nice to have a game where you make loads of saves, and it contributes to a team getting something out of it.
Do you have an all-time favourite save?
Yeah, it's not from that game. It's probably and again, it was helped that it was on Sky Sports. So we played Celtic at home. Scott Sinclair's cut in from the left
What a save.
and whipped it to the top corner. And I've gone top hand, full length. It just, as I've gone for it, he always seemed to do it. He never really would smash it near post. He would always try and whip it far post. So it was one of them, and all your best saves, goalkeepers will say, all your best saves, you've gambled a little bit. So I've gone slightly early, still didn't really think I was going to get anywhere near it. And just managed to hang in the air for a split second longer than I thought I would, and get my top hand on it. And the fact that it was on Sky and it had 4 or 5 different camera angles just made it better. So it was super slow mo from behind the goal and that sort of thing. So yeah, I've rewatched that one on YouTube a few times.
It's a sensational save, dearie me. Right. Um, who are you taking on in an argument without fear of retribution? Tony Docherty or Derek McInnes?
Oh, I'm taking on Doc all day. Oh, no, nothing against Doc, and I'm sure Doc's different now because he's a gaffer now and he's in charge. But when, like, Derek had that about him where, yeah, you would take it to a certain point and then you would leave it and it would get nipped in the bud, and you wouldn't take it past that. Doc, as it was almost like, I mean, I wouldn't say that Derek was a particularly bad cop, but it was a bit of a good cop, bad cop, and that's always, assistant managers are never the hard taskmasters. They're always the ones that are going around trying to keep people bubbling in. But yeah, it was always Derek. You wouldn't take it past a certain point. But I'm sure Doc's got that at Dundee now, and I'm glad to see him doing well, actually.
Yeah,
On a personal note.
yeah, he's doing brilliantly. Did you have a favourite pair of football boots?
Um, no, free
Oh,
ones, whichever was free.
those are the best boots.
Yeah, they're the best ones. Whichever ones they send me, and yeah, you have to pay for them. So I'm not one for that. I Nike, Adidas. I don't know. As past, they all have names after that. Hyper, whatever. I don't even know the names. They were comfy. They fit, and they were free. And that was my criteria for boots.
The three most important
Yeah.
ingredients, eh? As a captain, were you a shouter or a calming influence?
Um, Probably out of the two, I'd say a calming influence. There was moments when you had to try and get the boys going and shout. That's not really, fully my nature, I wouldn't say. I always think my biggest asset as a keeper was to be a calming influence and try and, sometimes when when the game's hectic or things aren't going well and you've had to make a save, and not to be getting up and start shouting and screaming at people. It worked again. Like you watch Pickford, he does it all the time. And it worked for him. Me personally, I always think that the defenders would like to look behind them and see someone who's in control and calm in a situation, because the game can be frantic enough, and at half time it can be frantic enough, with people wanting to, when things aren't going well and people trying to sort things out, and you got a bit of time and emotions and that sort of thing. I always think you need someone, and not always. Sometimes you need someone screaming in your face, but I always thought it was more beneficial to be calm if possible.
If you could turn back the clock and change one result from your time at Aberdeen, which result would you like to change?
It's got to be the cup final with you know what I'm going to say. I just hate talking about it, to be honest. When Johnny's running down the ring and squares it to Kenny, and yeah, it's depressing talking about it, to be honest. It's just, that's the one moment you think this is it. We'd had so many disappointing results against Celtic. They were such a good team under Brendan Rodgers at the time. They were so strong. And you just thought that was the moment, and it wasn't to be. But yeah, I saw someone, it was an Aberdeen fan, put it on, or maybe it was a comment on a Twitter or X post. And every time I see it, I just think, just don't remind me of it. But that would be the one. If that could have gone in, and we could have won that game, then that would have been lovely to have won a cup with Aberdeen, which is, they so much deserve, I think, at the moment, with all the supporters do, especially with the amount of difficult seasons they've had in the last 2 or 3 seasons. So yeah, it would have been nice to have got something there, but obviously that'd be the one I'd change.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Right, last question, and probably the most important one you'll face. So, Bad Boys Inc. or Take That?
Well, it's the easiest question. It has to be Bad Boys Inc.
Yes, my
There's,
man.
there's that many good songs, I can't even name one. It would be wrong to name one, wouldn't it? Really? So I'm not going to name one.
Yeah, we'll just leave it there. Mate, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thanks for coming on.
Not man.
All right, Joe.